Saturday, October 18, 2014. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy, and this is my 1983 Mercedes 240 Diesel. One issue with these cars, and if you're doing research online, you've probably already seen this for yourself, is that the ignition lock cylinder, they do get worn out, and that can be problematic if you need to replace it. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here to replace this one. It's not completely worn out, it is still working, but it's definitely notchy and sticking, so I bought a brand new one. So anyhow, I'm just going to very quickly show you how this is done. This is the ignition lock cylinder, and I have the key in here right now turned to the first notch. The first notch past stop. Basically, you have the key turned to that point there, and you're going to see a little notch at the top of the actual lock cylinder. And into that notch you want to push a stiff piece of wire. What I have found works is just this stiff piece of wire here. You don't want anything too thick because it has to go all the way in. This here is the wire off a container of Chinese takeout. So basically you stick it in there, and that actually releases a tab on the ignition lock cylinder. And once that's released, you can spin off this black cover here. And here it is. So I'm going to pull the pin out here. And for whatever reason the key is also stuck at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and install this new one. I'm not going to show you how to do that. It's the reverse of the same process. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, I've got the new ignition lock cylinder in now. And everything is turning nice and smooth, and there's no more play in the mechanism. So I am happy with that. So I'm going to move on to the next job now. So I figured, well, since I have this out anyway and I'm still waiting on my new light bulbs, I may as well take this back apart and paint the gauge needles. So the first thing obviously is to take it all back apart. There's not much to that. On the back here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws if you count the one on the rheostat. I'm not sure if you have to remove this, but I'm going to remove it anyway. So you take those out and the whole thing should pull apart pretty easy, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, I timed myself, and to take out all the screws it was about 1 minute 10 seconds for me, so very easy. So at this point the clock pulls out, and then the speedometer and the triple combination gauge, that's fuel, oil pressure, and temperature. So the next thing I'm going to do, just for due diligence, is I'm going to clean all the needles. And in order to do that, I have some isopropyl rubbing alcohol and some Q-tips. So I'm just going to give those a quick cleaning, and then I'll show you what I'm going to use to paint them. Okay, I've cleaned the needles, and there's just a couple more things I want to do. First off, you see the clock here, the needles stopped very close to each other, so I'm actually going to just advance the clock a little bit so there's a little more clearance between the needles. And I also want to mask things off a little bit. I brought some paper and tape out to do that. Okay, as you can see I have everything very lightly and easily masked off. So now let me show you what I'm going to be using to paint the gauge needles. This is something I didn't come up with myself. I saw somebody else online had used this stuff and recommended it, so I'm going to give it a try. I got this at CVS. This is nail polish. Specifically, this is Sally Hansen Hard as Nails Extreme Wear. And the color, let's see if I can find the color on here somewhere. Sun-Kissed. I am going to paint these gauge needles, and then I'll show you the results after. Okay, as you can see, the needles are done, and I'm actually very happy with the color. So, if you're taking your cluster apart, I would recommend repainting the needles. It doesn't take too long, and it's really only a few dollars for a really nice detail item that I think greatly improves the look. Once that is a little more towards acceptably dry, then I will put the whole cluster back together. Okay, I have the gauge cluster back together and just sort of sitting in the car here. I'm very happy with the way the needles turned out. Right here in the video I can tell they're definitely more washed out looking than they look in person. I mean, they look pretty fantastic considering I only spent a few dollars on the nail polish. And having seen lower mileage, better preserved cars, I mean, this is to my eyes, this is very close to original in terms of color. This is another reason I haven't put everything back together yet. So, I'm under the dash, and it's easier to see everything here because all the lower dash panels are out, including the vents that go to the floor. Let's see if I can point here for you. Right up here, this here foam hose drains the whole HVAC unit box, I think from the evaporator, and drains it out here over the transmission. As you can see, that factory hose there is deteriorated to the point where it's basically gone. This is something I read online, I forget which forum, but I wanted to show you the piece here. People have been replacing that with this. Now this is a drain piece for a incinerator disposal to connect to a dishwasher. And I got this off of Amazon, although I think you can get this at Home Depot. Let me see if I can find you a part number on this. There it is. So I can show it to you. DWC-00. And supposedly this is a pretty good fit and should be a permanent fix. Well, I'm very happy to report that that was an easier job than I thought it was going to be. It took me quite a few minutes to wiggle the new piece in place. Once again, it wasn't too bad. I had to feed it down into the hole over the transmission first, and then slip it up over the drain tube coming off the HVAC box. But, I mean, it's hard for me to believe that the incinerator people didn't design this piece specifically for the Mercedes 123, because, I mean, it's such a perfect fit. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy. Thanks for watching. Got a few little jobs done today, and hopefully tomorrow I can get even more done. Thanks for watching.